Namaste, yogis. My name is Katrina, and I'll be giving you the full moon in Sagittarius report for Karma Yoga Center, Alchemical Astrology. I'm starting up here on the wheel in the sign of Sagittarius. As I mentioned, the moon is full in the sign of Sagittarius this month, and we're approaching it on Monday the 17th. There's another planet here, and I know this is hard to see from maybe homeland, but I think using the wheel will help you just keep track of where the planets are and the different lines of energies that they create in their aspects. So in Sagittarius, right next to the moon is Jupiter, and as you know, that's our big huge planet out there. In astrology, Jupiter represents the truth, the big teachings, the master teacher, the expansive energy of our consciousness. And the moon represents our inner child, our intuition, our inner voice inside of ourselves that gives us the guidance. It's our inner sense, our inner knowing. So this big teacher with the truth as a stronghold for it is saddled up with our intuition. To me, that's a really beautiful combination potential. Everything in the astrology has potential to be of service if we use our willpower, or rather our free will, to make right choices, or it could, take a flip the other way and cause disharmony or dissonance in our life if we don't make the right choices. Everything is just potential. So potentially, this could be a beautiful setup for some self-discovery, some truth awareness, some conscious awakening for the collective and for the individual. The moon this particular time is called the strawberry moon or the rose moon, and I brought a little rose from our garden because the roses are in bloom now and so are the strawberries. That's just a little side note to entertain you, I suppose. But I like that the rose to me is part of that beauty of truth beauty, the famous quote by John Blake. So opposite of the moon, always when it's full, is the sun. And down here in the sign of Gemini sits our sun. It's been sitting there since May 21st, 22nd, and it will move into the sign of Cancer on solstice, which is June 21st. So in about a week's time, it'll slide out of Gemini into a whole new energy field. But for this last week, while the moon is opposite of it, it's given us a little bit of homework to do. Gemini is the twins. It's Castor and Pollux. They're brothers, twins even, but they're completely different, and they represent the duality that dwells inside of us. And the sun is our outward expression of who we are. It's our personality. And if you were to describe somebody, all the words you would describe them is their sun energy, most likely. And so the sun in Gemini has been making us really be inquisitive and curious. It's asking for self-inquiry and reflection as well about who we are, the sun self, our personality. So you may have been experiencing this since May 21st, 22nd, a deeper self-study. And now the moon is illuminating the truth of this, the inner truth of who we are in a big way. The oppositions, when the planets are on the opposite side of the wheel of each other, and this is Earth in the center here. So from our perspective, these planets are on the opposite sides of each other. It's more like having a conversation at the dinner table, like I'm looking at you into the camera, you're looking at me from the camera, we're having a conversation face to face. These are having a conversation face to face. Most of the time when we're in conversation, it can go pretty smoothly, but sometimes if you're having a conversation where you're not in agreement, it can get conflictual. So there could be potential for conflict between the sun and the moon in these opposing signs of Sag and Gemini. Sagittarius energy is the vision seeker, the truth quest. It's wanting to know what the journey is, what's the truth of our journey. And these big energies, again, the moon and Jupiter, are asking for this to be fleshed out. And the sun, opposite in Gemini, is also wanting to know information, but its emphasis isn't so much as a deeper inner truth. It's just wanting the facts. Just give me the facts. It's collecting data. But a little bit about the self because of the sun there. It's wanting to know facts about me. Some of those fact-finding information bits could be really superficial and rather unimportant and could take you away from a bigger purpose for yourself. You start to look at smaller, insignificant bits, and then you get distracted from the bigger purpose of what you're supposed to be looking at, and then all of a sudden you're down a rabbit hole and not doing the stuff. The moon and Jupiter are there on the opposite side to bring you back in and say, no, look at the truth of the situation. Look at what's important. Take a deeper look at that intuitive enlightenment piece. So that's one aspect happening at this time is the sun-moon opposition, or the full moon, the rose moon. And then we'll go on over to the next house from Sagittarius is Capricorn. And there's 3 planets here, planetary energies, I should say. Pluto, which is a dwarf planet, and Saturn. And then these little bees are representing the north and south node of the moon. This one is representing the south node. These are not actual bodies in space, but shadow energies, if you will. They're, I use this analogy a lot, I'll do it quickly. It's if we were spinning, holding hands, going around in a circle, that gravitational pull holding on to each other would keep us in that centrifugal force of being able to go in the circle. So the north and south nodes are similarly doing that for the moon, kind of holding it in its orbit in space. So they're not real actual bodies, they're gravitational bodies. The south node of the moon represents where your soul's been in the past, and the north node of the moon is where your soul is wanting to go forward to. Pluto is the soul. It's the soul essence. It's the purpose of why you're here. And Saturn is the karma and the law. So you could think of these as dharma and karma and what you've done in the past with all that. And you could look down here on the opposite side of the wheel from Capricorn is Cancer, and there's similarly 2 planets and another node. This is the north node where our soul wants to go. This is Mercury and this is Mars. I kind of made an equation that this is the dynamic duo of Batman and Robin, and they're coming to your emotional rescue. That would be using it in right way, the combination. They're enabling you to walk your talk, to have that expression of who you are with a lot of power behind it. The flip side of that could be using it in wrong way. Manipulating people, forcing people into circumstances or positions that they don't want to be in, using your power assertively or aggressively or in, like I said, a manipulative way. And that would not be serving the soul's purpose or the north node of the moon, which is where you want to go forward to. If you want to evolve, manipulation is not how you're going to evolve. So this is another one of those looking across the table from each other. Your karma or karma and dharma are looking at your willpower and your communication piece and seeing if you're going to be able to walk your talk and use it in right way. And the south node of the moon is saying don't repeat the errors of your ways, and the north node of the moon is saying use integrity, be in right way, evolve, spiral, or ascend. There's a quote from Rumi, the Sufi poet, that makes me think of this combination of Pluto, Saturn, that has been in alignment for a while and will continue to be together in this like strong stance. They're making like a gatekeeper in Capricorn. And I feel like that quote of Rumi's fits it really well, and that's wherever you stand, be the soul of that place. And that's what Pluto and Saturn are asking us to do right now. And there's another quote from Rumi that I also wanted to bring up because I think it's fitting for this time. I think a theme for this whole thing is that self-discovery piece, self-awareness, bringing yourself into more self-realization. And Rumi says, and you, when will you take that long journey into the self? And that's a little bit of what Gemini is asking us with Jupiter in Sagittarius. This opposition here is saying, when are you going to take that long journey into yourself, that deep inquiry of who you really are? And this is the time. This is what the cards have lined up for, the astrological cards have lined up for you to do. Something else that I want to point out that's happening at this time is the square that's happening between Jupiter and Neptune. So there's a 90-degree angle that comes with Neptune in his home sign of Pisces and Jupiter in his home sign of Sagittarius. And a square is often considered a challenge or presenting perhaps an opportunity to learn, but a difficult challenge. It's an obstacle or a hiccup in the program. And this squaring is going to be here for a while because on the solstice, when the sun moves over here into Cancer, Neptune is going to go retrograde at the same day. And so that will enable it to stay in Pisces a little bit longer, keeping this squaring happening. Now, Neptune is the unconscious collective. It's the dreamtime state. It's your imagination. It's the great infinite beyond. It's the spiritual world. And Jupiter is the big truth. And the squaring could be calling you out on some bullshit, really. It could be saying, hey, you're living in la la land over here and you need to get real. You need to get on this soul's purpose path. Hit an integrity button and go forward into the purpose of your soul. And or it could be doing not just a calling you out on your bullshit, but it could also be a great opportunity for you to merge your dreams and your ambitions and your infinite potential with this big teacher of yourself and that inner knowing. Use it while the moon's right there for the next 3 days. And have this deeper connection of your imaginative self, of your unconscious self. Let it ascend or awaken or spiral open. So this has a lot of spiritual awakening potential for not only the individual, but for the collective conscious. And that would be amazing if we could all wake up. I'm hopeful that this is a possibility for us. And I think that this map of the cosmology is saying, here's a chance, step into it. Use all that deep communicative willpower and speak those truths that are coming from the deep inner knowing. They're all working in harmony if we let them. Or we could let ourselves go into that manipulative mode. We could go into the opposite energy of this inner child or intuitive self. Full moon with the big teacher could be delusion. It could be lying to ourselves. It could be hiding from ourselves, burying ourselves deeper into the sand like the little hermit crabs do. So let the sun shine for clarity. This is a great time to get clear on who you are while the sun's in Gemini. And like I said, the sun on summer solstice, June 21st, is going to move right in there into that sign of Cancer with Mercury and Mars and the north node of the moon. And to me, this is like emotional maturity, taking emotional responsibility, standing in our power. Like I said, that quote from Rumi, wherever you are, be the soul of that place. Wherever you stand, be the soul of that place. I think that is about all I have for this report. And again, the cap of the theme is self-discovery, self-clarity, self-realization, taking that collective consciousness that is slowly awakening and riding the wave, the crest of it as the individual, and helping, as the individual does that, it helps lift the collective as well. Until next time, stay in your heart and blessings to you all. Namaste.